There's a couple of like really similar threads that run through how
Yeah.
your team is.
Yeah.
You know, like decision making, very much group activities, the feeling of family, and
Yeah.
everyone being very like kind of caring of each other, and the kind of friendships, like a family bond. All of that really comes across every single person. But every single person,
it has to be, because otherwise the person is not matching to us.
Yeah, completely.
So, yeah.
Whereas every person's relationship to racing and their bike is completely different.
Yeah. And characters are just so different as well.
Yeah.
Like we have some things that we have all in common, I guess, and that's what you meant in the beginning. But all the rest we're just so different, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, it's Slash. And you've been with these guys since what, 2016?
Yes.
You know,
it's a long time.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's obviously what you have effectively, with Tom and Ghost, created is this perfect symbiotic environment for people to come here and feel like they're part of a family.
I think for some people, for people that need it, that's the people like me probably, because I needed it as well. Like especially back then, I needed an environment that trusted me, because I didn't have the trust, like I didn't build up trust in myself yet. And if then your environment is not giving you this trust, it's really hard to be confident when you have to race. And I think that's very similar for most girls here. We're all at a different stage probably of our development, so you see others grow, and like there's some that have like some self-confidence in some areas but not in others.
Yeah.
And like that's where we can help each other, and that's why it's so important for us to have this environment, because I think in another like surrounding we will probably struggle. So I'm very happy that I can still be a part of this team, and that we kind of grew together as well. Like the team is not where it was in 16, and me obviously I'm not there anymore either.
Yeah.
So it was just making steps, and yeah, I've I've seen all the other girls join the team basically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you have.
it's cool.
Do you feel kind of like protective over the culture you've created?
For sure, I think so. Because there's a reason why we created it. Like for us, this is the way it works. Basically, this is how we perform, and this is what we need. So, if there would be just one single person of our group that would have a totally different mindset, or would like disrupt what we think is important, it would not work for sure. And yeah, I think there will for sure be some people in this group that would then react, and I'm probably the one that reacts first. Yeah.
Because I mean, the culture being game nights and cooking together, and you know, taking the mick out of Tom at the dinner table and hoping not to get your head bitten off.
Yeah, but it's nice. Like,
it's lovely.
Everybody should be able to be themselves. Like as soon as you have to be different, then you actually are. It will cost you energy. So we have to have this like relaxed, just being you setting probably. Maybe it seems unprofessional to some, but like at the same time, when it comes to working days or like when we have to perform, of course this is our goal. But we get to our goal in this relaxed and like just a nice atmosphere. So I think it's something good, and I think we should be protective. Yeah.
So, how are you this year? How's it all been the last since we last caught up over our rather awful, on my part, Dutch interviews?
Well, I think your Dutch improved over the years.
Did it?
No?
Did it? I understood maybe one more word.
Like, hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Well,
Danke? Is that German?
German. 0 points, sorry. Well, you will get 4 here. Well, I have a bit of a roller coaster time in between. When we last spoke, I had some super consistent years, actually. And back then, that was normal for me. Maybe now I learned that maybe it was a bit of a luxury situation. It was not as normal as it seemed. So last year I had some really good performances, but also some not so good performances. I had to skip World Championships, which of course you never ever want to do. But it was for me the smartest decision. So yeah, I guess I experienced it all. But as me, I am still doing well. Also last year I was doing well as a rider. Maybe I struggled at some points, but for sure I learned again. Like, you never stop learning somehow. I don't know when that ends.
It doesn't.
No,
Sport is there to test you every step of the way.
I feel like I've been doing it for so long. At some point, there must be like the moment comes away. You're like, yeah, now I know it all. But
I was gonna say,
it's not gonna happen.
Do you believe that?
Not really.
No.
No, but it's just every year there's a new surprise basically, and there's a new thing to learn, and you're at a different place yourself. You maybe have different people around you that also teach you other things. So, yeah, it's been a very hard, but also like a useful year. So I think I can just build on it. And one of the good consequences is that like my whole motivation and like my love for the sport, it's so big. Like, actually, I'm really happy that it's still so big, because I'm also expecting that at some point maybe my motivation will go a bit down, or I will feel like I'm done with it. Like, I'm at a very different place than Finja is, with like her whole career in front of her.
20.
Exactly. 33.
Same.
So, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So then it's a good age.
We understand each other, don't worry.
Yeah, but like I have different things in my mind. And then to see that I just really love to go out, to ride my bike, to go out training, to go out with the girls, to put a number plate on my bike and to race. Like, I know why I do this and why I still love it. And that's a really nice feeling to have. Yeah.
And you still love this lifestyle.
Yeah.
The travelling, the moving, the excitement, new places.
Yeah. I still love it as much as I did 10 years ago.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think as soon as you keep loving it, are you going to stop? Probably not.
Not now. No. Every year I think like, okay, is this the year where I should be stopping, or where I want to stop? But it's not there yet. And I'm just happy that I'm aware of it, and I think because of this I can enjoy it even more. Like, when I was 20, I think I was thankful and I was having a good time, but I was not really aware that it's something special that I'm doing, I think, because you want to get better, you're so much focused maybe on too much on racing and not on the bigger picture. And now with the bigger picture, I just love racing even more. Yeah.
I think there's like you said, with the consistency in your results, when you're in it, you don't think
normal.
it's anything different.
I just had the luxury that I knew if I go to a start line, it will probably end up well, whatever I do. So it gave me a kind of confidence, but it's also quite boring, if you're honest. So actually, it's better to not know what happens when you're on the start line. And
I have no doubt that fuels the motivation.
Yeah.
Not knowing.
Yeah. Like, you just have to be curious, because then you're also like, you're kind of open to whatever happens on the day. And if I just like stand there, start my race, do my thing, end up somewhere between, what would it be, 1 and 8 maybe it was in those years, it's a bit weird, maybe almost. So I think I'm not sure what happens this year. I have no clue now anymore, and it's quite funny for me to say that. But I'm also curious. And it's not, it didn't take my fun away, or my fire, or how you call it. Like, of course it's sometimes hard, like if you know how it is to race at the front, like if you ever experience it once, you know this is the coolest thing to do. And you cannot do it often enough, at least I feel I can't do it often enough. But that is what I work for, because that's the most fun in the end.
Finding fun. Do you find fun when you're not necessarily on the track, and you've obviously the training and the being around the girls?
I like it all, like everything. We can just have a talk. Like, one of these rides, we had a talk like all together, but it was about Finja. And for me, it's just so interesting to see what but every one of us basically is going through, what is like an actual topic, and how somebody thinks about it, and then to hear from the other girls what they think and how they would look at it. And then you see this team thing where everybody adds something, and where we together are better than we would be alone. So this is something that I really enjoy, and that you see in a training camp, but also when we race and when we just spend time together. Yeah.
obviously we never really got the luxury of really long conversations when we used to work together regularly. But I get, having just spoken to a few of you guys, the sense of how self-reflective everybody is.
Yeah.
Like really self-reflective and understanding and trying to work out
You
why
think
you
this is
are as you are.
Not an athlete thing in
I
general?
do wonder whether it is an athlete thing in general.
Because I think you have to, like every single athlete has to think, what did I do? Did it make me better or not? And what do I need to get better? And that's a self-reflective thing in general. Like when I studied medicine, like a long time ago, already back then the supervisor told me that I had a very high level of that reflectiveness for my age. So, and it only came from sports. It was not because I learned it at university. It was just my normal thing in sports. So.
Or is it collectively the group of people that are all bouncing off each other, just to play devil's advocate? Because you're all quite kind of, you're all different, but there's a similarity in all of you in
maybe
how you're willing to reflect.
I guess you will have to tell me after you spoke to, I don't know
Everyone,
how many people.
everyone else.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know, it's something that I found I asked myself a lot more questions last year when I lost that role and I was working out what my life was going to look like and who I was when I wasn't a mountain bike reporter. You know, and like those kind of moments in life almost kind of force it upon you.
Yeah.
As an athlete, you probably hit a lot more moments like that.
Oh, I'm not sure, but it sounds like completely similar. Like if you're injured and you cannot ride your bike, what are you? Like when I broke my ankle in 2018, and it was like a how would you say it? Like a big point of me, like just in my mind, to learn who I am when I'm not doing sports and to be okay with that person already. And if you're okay with this, then it doesn't matter anymore what happens on the racetrack, and then you can ride fast. But I had to learn it.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was my performance, and I was not just Anne, but I was only the bike rider in me, which is not everything I am. And I guess that's the same for you.
Yeah. I'd liken it to like grief initially, losing that. Like breaking up with a boyfriend who you can see dating someone else. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like if they would tell me now, okay, next year you're not on this job anymore, we'll take someone else. I think I will also grieve.
Yeah.
I think it's normal.
I guess it's what defines you.
And it shows that it had importance.
Yeah.
That this is something important to you. I think that's a good thing to know, also for what you will be doing in the future.
But then I mean, we're not moving this on to me, but like, I'm
totally interested.
Totally hijacked this conversation. But like, there was quite a big learning from it because I felt like I've gone through that grieving process. I've now come out the other side, and I'm really happy with who I am and what I'm doing outside of the thing that I thought defined me.
Yeah.
Which is quite kind of releasing in itself.
Yeah, it makes you feel better in the end, huh? Like,
yeah.
It's hard to put in words, but I know exactly this feeling, and I think in the end it gave you something good. And it gave you like a real stable basis that you know now, okay, whenever I have to make a decision, I know this is important to me, this is what I stand for, and I will base all my decisions on this knowledge that I have now. And I think that knowledge only gets bigger and bigger and bigger, like when you go through different experiences.
And that for you came through your ankle?
Well, it was one of the things. I had enough like hard moments, or what you call it, that I had to learn stuff from, but my ankle for sure was one of them. Yeah.
That would have been earlier in your career. Was there a similar? Because I think actually I can pinpoint my last interview with you, and it was in Val de Soleil, and you had just before you had that infection in your cheek.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that I would get this.
We didn't at the time. It was like the day before it happened.
Yeah.
But that must have been one of those moments.
Actually, it wasn't.
No?
And that's actually what that Val di Sole weekend made me quite proud. Like, if I think about it now, maybe I'm a bit more sad actually than I was back then, because I just had this great opportunity, and like you would probably say but it's if I would not have had this infection, I think I would have won it. I had the trust in it. But I also knew like it was nothing I could do anything about. Like it was just like bad timing, and I guess as hard as it may sound, it was not meant to be for me that weekend. But even though it was like really hard, I was happy that I could say like, it's okay. Like I gave it my all, it didn't work out, and I'm okay with it. Like I'm still the same person. I'm still, nothing changed basically. So it's fine if there's disappointment. The thing that was hardest actually then for me, it was quite funny. I didn't know, but they made a video on that weekend, and they wanted. They released it somewhere, but they also showed the guys of the team. And of course, they didn't show everything to me when I just had this huge cheek. Like, they didn't show their emotions too much because I already, like, had enough to think of. But when I saw, like, our physio, like, walking, you really saw him walking through the tent, like, what do we do now? I saw, like, Tom sitting there. Thank you. No, you really saw Tom sitting there, like, in his head, thinking about, like, oh, what's happening now?
Okay, if
like,
you're just listening to the audio on this, we are getting absolutely done over by Finja with the lights and the sounds.
So she did a really good interview, but now she learns how to disturb the other stuff. No, but when I really saw that, you really saw how hard it also was for them, and I didn't realize it. I had my own thing, but of course it was a disappointment for everybody because in the end we're a team, and like I'm the one on the bike, but that's the team thing. Like it's the success or the disappointment of everybody, and that they also felt this was hard for me somehow.
They would have felt it for you though as well.
Yeah, it was in both ways. Yeah, but if you see people you care about, and in the end it's all people I care about, having this like negative emotions, it's quite hard.
Yeah, of course it is.
But it was impressive. They didn't show it that bad. And like what I wanted in every outcome of that weekend, I wanted to be still happy. And I wanted to be a positive memory somehow. And even though things were kind of negative, and it was for sure not ideal, not what I dreamt of, and it could have been different, I still think back and I can be happy about it, and I'm very proud of how we all dealt with it.
I think
because if it like gets you down, like we could have all sat down and cried, but would it have made anything better? I don't think so. It just gave us a hard time, so I'm happy we didn't, at least not too much.
And the fact that you got out there and raced in the kind of condition that you were was pretty phenomenal to watch.
That was actually hard. And I thought about, do I want to do it? Sorry, I just had a cold, so I need to cough at some moment.
You're fine.
But usually I want to be a good role model for young athletes. And if I would say, if you want to be a good role model, you will not race when you are ill at all. But if you're wearing a leader jersey, the problem is you cannot say you didn't try. So that was my only thing. If I would not have started, I would not have known what would have happened. Even though chances were small, I felt like I had to try. And then what actually happened, the guys made a kind of calculation because I had to race with Alessandra and with Rebecca Henderson.
Yeah.
They were like numbers 2 and 3 in the overall. And they knew exactly if Alessandra is on place 6, I need to be at place 20 or whatever. If Rebecca is on place 8, I need to be at 22. And I tried, and like my first laps were better than we actually thought. Even though I died so bad, it was the hardest race of my life because I couldn't. My body was totally empty and ill. It's great. You cannot imagine that. You can be so slow. In short track already on Friday I tried. I couldn't even follow the last rider, even though I had a really good shape, but when your body is busy, no chance. So I quit it in short track as the only option. And then the problem in this race was that I did good enough, like they would get me out if it was short, like it doesn't bring anything. And then after 1 lap it was like, you're still good, keep going. And then after 2 laps, it was, you're still good, keep going. And after 3 laps, it was the same. And I was like, of course, hoping it could maybe work. But I also felt like, I cannot really keep going. So I kept going until I was in 80%, so I kind of finished the race, and in the end it was not enough, so it was obvious it didn't work out. But we tried all we could, and that was the only thing we could do, and I think we can still be proud of that.
Absolutely. And an incredible role model, even if you were racing ill.
I hope.
Just to show never give up. And I think that's probably quite a big thing in a lot of athletes' careers, is if they end it and they look back and think, what if? I think that's a really
why
haunting
I started. Yeah.
kind of memory for people.
I guess so. Yeah. We now know what happened, so we kind of finished the chapter basically, even though it was not the prettiest ending. But I think in the end, the 3rd place, I would have signed for it at the beginning of the year. So
I'm pretty sure if we did like Spirit of the Races or like that kind of award, you'd have walked away with our hands down easily.
I hope. I hope.
So what are your kind of big dreams now?
I'm still dreaming of racing at the front. Like, it's the most cool thing if you can decide what's happening there. Yeah. So if you don't have to react, but if you're the one that is acting, I hope I can do that this year a couple of times. Yeah. But we will see if that works out, because I guess everybody's dreaming of this.
Especially one particularly big race.
Especially in Paris, I guess. Yeah, but of course I'm looking forward to Olympics, and this is a big topic. I guess every athlete will say that. But when I went to Tokyo, I kind of only focused on Olympics and forgot about everything that came afterwards, and that was quite hard for me to then keep going, basically. So from the beginning on, like after Olympics, there will be a World Championships. And it will be in quite a good place for me. So, of course, that
it's a very good place for you, isn't it?
Somehow, I don't really know why.
You are fabulous at altitude.
At least I have good memories there. So, of course, that's also something I look forward to a lot. Yeah.
Just because you brought it up, I'd like to chat a little bit about Olympics and Olympic years in general. But that Andorra race for the Ghost Girls is just like this, I don't know, beacon of wonderfulness. Like, I just remember at the finish line, and you all crossed and you all had that big group hug back in 2022 because Caroline had done well, you had done well.
Yeah,
like
we celebrated together.
Yeah,
like how often can you be together on the podium with 2 teammates? And like I remember Nicole didn't have her very best day, but like she showed like greatness to just be really happy for us. Like she was honestly happy, even though she didn't have the best day out. That was great. Yeah, I
think like the beauty of the team though, that you celebrate each other's successes.
That's
and you're there for each other in the failure.
Yeah, when she had her first top 10 last year and I finished behind her, like for me it felt as if she would have won this race, because I know your first top 10, how important it is and how happy it is, like how important it is to be happy about it and to celebrate it as a win, because it's a huge step, and it's just nice if you can honestly feel that, because I also know it how you cannot feel it, and you will also not feel good about yourself in that moment. So if you really can be happy for someone else, I think is a very nice thing to have. Yeah.
So when we had the Olympics last year, it was obviously not last year. Last
time, but it feels like last year, no?
It
goes
really
so
does.
Quick.
What happened to life? It's just kind of come and gone.
It's just because of the extra year.
Suddenly we're both 33, you know?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah, true.
But I remember it and the conversations I was having with riders at the time, and it was a nightmare because it had been deferred by a year and everyone was kind of ready to go in 2020. Yeah. And the kind of the level that you guys need to be at your best for that one race. And then it was just wiped. And then it was like, oh, we've got to do it again the next year.
Yeah.
Like, can you give us some insight into the kind of the processes that you have to, you know, and how big that process is for a race of that magnitude?
When it changes like that, you mean? Because I remember when COVID started and they cancelled every single thing in the world, and like they didn't cancel Olympics at first. And I was thinking like, it can't, they have to cancel it, and we were waiting for it to be cancelled, kind of.
Yeah, we were all...
somehow. But it took a bit longer than we actually thought, maybe, or I don't know. I felt like this moment was very, very long, and maybe it kind of mentally prepared you for the decision that was about to come, basically. But when it then was finally cancelled, first I was actually relieved because I was not really sure how we could make it work at all in the situation we were in, basically. I didn't see any way of having a safe race at that moment, even though we didn't know much. But I was not really sure how it could work out. And then I think I actually was lucky because my coach, I think, understood very quick that this will be a longer thing and that it doesn't make sense to try to keep the level you have. Yeah. So he already backed off straight away. So I didn't have any training plan anymore, for instance. I just did what I felt like. And then on top of that, I caught COVID, like straight away. And it took me 2 months to recover, so I couldn't do anything. So where maybe others tried to keep the level the whole 20 year long, I didn't have any level. I was just trying to get healthy again. And yeah, I was kind of lucky that I had to do a complete new build-up to then the end of the year when we could race, and then I was basically good again. So maybe that made it easier for me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The Olympics last time out, how did you feel it was and went, given the environment, but also the build-up and kind of the pressure, especially after a few years of COVID? And
yeah, it was interesting for sure. My first Olympics were in Rio, and back then it was like kind of a bonus race because at first I didn't qualify, and then I was added very, very late to the Olympic selection of our country. So I was just happy to be there, and I really soaked in that whole Olympic environment and like the real experience, I feel like. And then we went to Tokyo, and we had this totally different circumstances where we were like just locked in our hotel. We were only allowed to leave it for a ride.
You got like trailed, right? People would follow you.
Yeah.
To make sure you didn't go and...
The poor guy.
The poor guy.
we had a guy on a road bike that joined us for every single ride.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was quite fun. Like, we got friends with him, but it was a Japanese like bike rider basically that just like joined us for rides. It was so weird. And even if we would just go outside and sit on the pavement, it was not allowed. We were not allowed to go out unless we were out for training. And I think, I mean, imagine this is your first Olympic experience. That's just so sad. Like, I'm very happy we had a really cool Dutch team. So I spent this time with also nice people. Maybe a little bit of a similar environment as we have here. So therefore, for me, also this is good memories.
Yeah.
But if I would not have had Rio, I think I would have felt like I missed something.
Yeah. Like Caroline, right?
Like Caroline, for sure. She did miss something. I think she doesn't know what she missed, maybe. Yeah. That's the thing. But it's not the real deal, kind of. Like, there was no real Olympic village for us. We were somewhere else.
You were really far away from everything going on.
Like, I liked it. For me, it was way better because in Rio I came and it was a bonus. In Tokyo I came, there was pressure. I wanted to perform and it was the biggest race of the year. So it was kind of a different thing I had to deal with. But I felt ready for that. So it was totally okay. It was like that. And that was kind of my challenge there. And then to show that that actually worked out was quite of an achievement, I felt. So I got 5th in the race. Which maybe doesn't sound like special, but I think...
Well, when you think about the depth of field of mountain biking...
It was good,
it's really good.
And we had also a tough hour, basically, or 2 hours before the race, maybe. Like, maybe not... For me, it wasn't the toughest. For our mechanic, Uwe, it was quite tough because it was dry all the time we were there. And then in the night, before our race, classic,
always,
it just poured. So it was completely wet. We had no clue what tires we should use. And I just added in spontaneous training because we had to find out. And then I remember, it was so funny. Like, it showed where I was in my mind because it didn't stress me. I think if I would have had that 4 years ago, it would have stressed me. So that was good now. But he had to change all these tires because everything was ready for a dry race. And we had to, get everything ready for a wet race. And I remember I was sitting on a chair, going to my bike, starting my warm-up, which means we're pretty close to the race. And like 5 or 10 minutes into my warm-up, Uwe walks to that chair that I sat on before, and he sits down like, which meant that he was ready and he got all the tires and stuff on, and I was like, good job. Yeah, I think if that race would have been dry, I would have had better chances. I struggle a bit more in the wet conditions, and for me in that year it was actually already hard to perform my best on a wet race. So I was really, really happy that I could perform on a wet Olympic race.
Yeah, with all of the extra kind of mental
Yeah.
pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
What do you make of France? Paris?
What I make of it?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a test event there last year, and I really liked the course. I don't know if they still changed some things, but it was good to get some impression. And of course, if you find a course there that suits you or that could suit you, that's way better than if you go there and you think like, oh,
yeah,
maybe I have to find some different strengths. No, like it seems fun. I think it will be a super interesting and tight race. But for sure, I think it will be very cool.
Because there were some big features in it, from what I remember of the photographs. That's probably me being a non-professional bike rider going, cool, some of those look big.
No, it seems fine.
No?
I don't, it was fine. Like there is maybe some features, but like usually they just look intimidating.
Yeah,
and then when you ride it's quite okay. Yeah, it's just that first time you go, you feel a bit uncomfortable maybe, like for sure me, but then when you've got the feeling, it's okay.
How important are those test events?
Very, very important for like a character like me, like to know where I have to go to see everything already. Like when I came in Rio, I didn't have a test event at all, and I remember just in that Olympic village that was huge, and I had no clue where we had that dinner room or whatever it was. I just felt completely overwhelmed. So if you have this opportunity to go there and to at least see already a little bit is quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel more kind of ready for what it's going to throw at you, given all of the different experiences you've had over the years when it comes to what the Olympics is?
Yeah. It gives you confidence, I think. And maybe it also makes me not, how you say it? I guess I'm a bit more stable. Then there has to happen quite a lot for me to get me real stressed or to, in the end, influence my performance. I can get stressed, but I know I can still perform. And this is a nice feeling. Yeah. And this, I think you have to build. I didn't have it as a young athlete. And I think if you have it as a young athlete, I'm not sure where it comes from. I'm also not sure if it's like real. So yeah, for sure, I feel more ready for whatever will happen. Yeah.
I can't imagine you as like the kind of unsure, unstable young athlete. Because you've always been so measured and calm and kind of quite realistic and
But that's what you saw. Like, I think if you would have seen me back then, you would have seen, like, it's not a different person. Like, I'm still the same.
Well, it's evolution and experience.
Exactly. And I needed so many experiences to gain this. Like, you have to remember, I was not the athlete that came there and won. I was the athlete that had to make steps to get to that top level. And there's different ways to get there. There is some that just come, they win, and they keep going. Then I think you already from the beginning, you have a different kind of confidence. Probably everybody told you already your whole life you're the greatest athlete that they ever see. So like your environment reacts already different to you. And what they told me when I was young was more like, well, you can ride a bike, but it's not that you're really good. Like if you're young, this is hard.
Well, it means you fight for everything that you achieve.
Yeah. And
you've worked for it.
That I know how to lose as well, and that I value it when I can be successful. And I also really hope that I can like inspire all others that not win straight away. Because it doesn't mean you cannot win if you don't do it straight away. It just means you have maybe a different route or you have to learn different things. Like I just had to learn a lot. And for me that was like important. maybe there's also athletes that don't realize all of this, or they already have learned it in another area of their life. I don't know, but for me, all those things were important, and therefore, when I would have had like my first World Cup win in 19, if that opportunity would have came in 17 or 18, I think I would not have brought it to the finish line, because I would not have had all these experiences and this readiness or calmness for it. And because it only came then, I could, like, it was not that I was out of my mind when I was racing at the front. I was ready to win that race. And I think Anne Tauber, she almost won in Novo Mesto in the same year. She was not ready yet. She will get ready, I think.
Yeah.
But in that year, in that specific race, there was still some things she had to learn, and then somehow it's not meant to be. I feel like it works like that.
Yeah, and how important and valuable that is as like a message and an experience for you to share with the young ladies
like,
that are around you
I
now.
want them to believe if you just continue, because in the end that's the only thing I had to do. I had to find reasons for me, because I wanted to stop a lot of times, like a lot of times. But I continued, and in the end I was already now successful, basically. And that's a nice thing to believe in, and I want to encourage them to also believe that if they continue, they will be successful. And yeah, I do strongly believe they actually can do that as well. I think if I put all the hours I did while riding my bike into, I don't know, playing drums or trying to fly a plane,
you'd be the drummer in the darkness.
Exactly.
Or something.
Yeah, of course there's something like talent as well, but I think if you just spend a lot of time to get better at something, you will get better. It's that easy.
It's a good old debate, that nature versus nurture stuff.
I guess.
But yeah, if you would you say, if say your career ended immediately, would you look back on everything you've achieved so far and go, God damn, that was good?
Yeah. You make me almost emotional, because I think about it a lot, but I would.
Yeah, good.
I don't want to stop yet, but
hey, I'm not intending you to stop yet.
No. But it's a good feeling to know that if I would be forced to stop now, I would be okay. I would be fine, and I would have had a great time. Yeah.
So
that's maybe why I can enjoy it that much right now, because I know it. Yeah. I
think that might have been the dinner bell.
I guess so. Are you hungry?
Yeah, I'm starving.
I am.
Apparently, what is there? Lentil and homemade naans.
Yeah, did you ever, no, of course not. Like, it's Caroline's famous bread, so.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for chatting, being so open, going to some kind of pretty personal places.
That's fine. I cannot not do that, so.
No, honestly, I hope this year goes so well.
Thank you.
And we kind of continue to smash things, and the girls will end up on podiums. And
that would be great.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, it's really nice to see you guys from the inside.
Yeah, maybe you should just come over some more. Huh?
Yeah, well, here's hoping. So someone wants to fund me to fly around the world and hang out with people that I like.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.